introduce Nathaniel Makonnen, who is actually the son of Adwa Makonnen. And Nathaniel, I actually know him for his music, so it's a different profile here. He is studied biomedical sciences and achieved a BSc degree. He is now an entrepreneur, and he's currently in the process of building a manufacturing import and export business in Ethiopia. He's also very active in the Habesha community, Ethiopian and Eritrean communities, and mainly on motivating young people. And he has traveled to Ethiopia quite a bit since he was 18. So I guess it's good to go home on holiday, right? So Nathaniel, I'd like to welcome you to speak on the Adwa victory and its potential to drive African growth. Thank you.
I'm going to speak in English for the majority of this. I hope you understand. I might invite Makonnen. If I have some things that need to be translated, I'll just ask him. So yeah, I feel that the history of Adwa, it's very important to try and link it to today, because we can get lost in the history and forget any lessons that can be learned. We can bring those lessons to our current situation, the situation that we see in Africa today. So there are three main points that I want to touch on that we can take away from Adwa. The first is the narrative. So who writes the narrative? Who sets the narrative for Africans and Ethiopians? Is it us, or is it being written for us? And I think it's really impossible to understand what was going through the minds of the people, the young men and women who were fighting on that day, as they fought to defend their nation, their culture, and everything that mattered to them. But nevertheless, they had taken control. On that day, they rewrote history, because the narrative that was being told around the world was that Africa was up for grabs, that black people were, savages that could just be, carved up, and there was no care or dignity in them. So, on that day when we defeated the Italians, what we did is we completely rearranged the narrative. We started to tell a new Tariq, and now I think that's a very important thing that we need to take with us today. To me, Adwa shows the capacity of young Africans, because Adwa was not just a victory for Ethiopia, it was an African victory. And in fact, it was a victory for all peoples across the world who had been colonized. The Asians, the North Americans, everyone. And the Native Americans. To me, Adwa shows the capacity for young Africans to change narratives and thereby galvanize a continent of people into positive action. From the day I was born until this very day, the narrative that we are told of Africa is always a little bit unbalanced. It's negative. If you watch a BBC documentary and they go to Ethiopia, they love to point the camera at the poverty, at the destruction, at suffering. They like to zoom in on suffering. And that's because we're not writing the narrative. We're not dictating the narrative. So it's on us, especially young people like myself, to go and rewrite that, to take control of the narrative. We should do that. So, just so it said, that's because of my parents, and that's why today is a very special day, seeing all these young people here today. Yo, America's Leilana. So it's taking control of the story is so important, because if we allow other people to write it for us, we'll always be we're weak, we're nothing. But we can take control of that. So even when I go to Ethiopia, what I do is on my social media, I am pointing my camera at development, at positive cultural things that are happening in the country, and people are messaging me from around the world, and they're like, is this Ethiopia? Is this really Ethiopia? They're so surprised, because they don't get to see that, so it's on us to do that. Yeah? So, and then that's what they did in Adwa. That's what they did. They took control of the narrative. And people were like, hold on, Africans are not just savages. Okay, there's history there. So we did that, and we set that. We need to carry on doing it today. A lot of people come from Ethiopia, from Eritrea, they come to the UK and they settle here. That's fine, but we have a duty to go back to our country and do something for it, despite the challenges. So the next point I want to talk about is unity under net. There's another lesson that we can take from the Battle of Adwa. So about 30 years before the Battle of Adwa, there was another battle that took place in Magdala, where the British were able to just walk through, very easily, through the whole of Ethiopia, get to Magdala and defeat the Ethiopians very easily. They were able to do that. One of the main reasons they were able to do that is because they just took advantage of the differences and the arguments between different tribes and religious groups. And so we were easily divided and easily conquered. What made Adwa, what made that battle and that victory so important was because it proved that when we as Ethiopians, which by the way, for the majority of my life, I just consider myself Ethiopian. There's no complexity to it. I know there are different tribes and stuff, but I am Ethiopian through and through. And when they came to Ethiopia, they thought it was going to be the same. We can just divide them and we can conquer them, but they came to find that things were very different. And under Menelik, we saw people from different tribes and different religious groups coming together under the banner of Ethiopianness and defeating them. So in unity, we are stronger. And today, I think that's just as important that we maintain that unity. Do you want to? I think you understand that. Yeah. And just lastly, resilience is the third lesson. Resilience, qoratnet, and now bravery, gubzanna. So the challenges that Africans face today are great. We have a lot of challenges. And asking people from the diaspora, especially younger people like myself, who were born here and raised here and have all these luxuries and stuff that we take for granted, asking them to go back home is kind of difficult. A lot of them are comfortable. But despite the vast opportunities, this idea of moving back requires a strength of character and a sense of purpose. So today, I am in the process of moving. I have a business in China and I have a business here in the UK. Yeah, that's what I want to do, because why am I building here? Why am I building here? And now, when I first told my friends and my people my age that I'm going to Ethiopia and Azar and then they go to the capital and I'm like, you go to my like, wow, they're like, really? What about this? What about that? But the problems, they highlight the problems. And I think about the people who fought in Adwa, and these people, they were facing something that every other African country had failed. They died. They were just completely destroyed. Many of these people were going and traveling hundreds and hundreds of miles barefoot. They didn't even have shoes. But they did it, even willing to lose their lives. That is the kind of bravery that we need today. That's the real gubzanna that we need today. We don't face those kind of challenges today. These are different challenges. But we should take the spirit of Adwa with us everywhere we go. And today we just need to jump on a 747 or Dreamliner, and we're in Addis in no time. So God Bazu, take the spirit of Adwa, let's build our country and